Adnai Havaya B'Ma'ida, Hashem, my master, how will I know? B'Ma'ida Ki Irsana, Avraham asks, how will I know that I will inherit the land? Perkam de Brachos, Tav Zayin Reish Amud Beis, Miyom Shebara HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no, from the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, until Avraham, Ad Sheba Avraham V'Karo Ado, nobody was there to call him master. Vayin Sham B'Tosfos, the Hainu Davka Shem Adnus, and look over there in Tosfos that is specifically the name Adnai, Vahahu K'mo Shekos V'Ata Yigdal Nakoach Adnai. This is like it says, and now you should greaten the strength of Adnai when Moshe asked for forgiveness. Shebichinas Hamshachas Adnasu Al Yidei Asiyas HaMitzvos Bebichinas Mitzvahs HaMelech, that drawing down the concept of Hashem as master. It's through the fulfillment of the mitzvos in a way of mitzvos of the king. That is accepting the yoke without understanding or reasoning. But to do it like a servant. And on this it says it's better to listen than to bring a korban. And through this you reveal the strength of Adnai, who ain't so baruch soviv kol almin, that is the infinite, who encompasses creation, shum malchus de Ein Sof, which is malchus of Ein Sof. Meaning that Shem Adnai corresponds with malchus, and you're revealing the level beyond creation, that which encompasses, and so that's going to be the Adnai, the malchus beyond creation. What is that? That's what it means, koach. The koach, the strength of Adnai is the hidden ability, the potential. You have the strength to do it, doesn't mean that you did it yet. So the koach Adnai is that which is beyond creation, the ability to be Adon. Vatam, and the reason shadaf ka'idei b'chinas kabbalas ol nimshach b'chinazu, and the reason that specifically through accepting the yoke, we draw down this concept, it's like it says in the Mimar that this thing is close to you. What does it say there? Bitul the concept of nullifying your will to the master of the will. And because of the divine will, that's like the concept of self-sacrifice. It's not exactly self-sacrifice, but nullifying your will is similar to self-sacrifice. K'mayim Razal, Mali Katla Kula, Mali Katla Palga. Like our sages said in the Gemara, what does it matter if I kill you completely or I kill you only half? It's the whole thing anyway. Ukfar Nisbor. So a little bit of Bitul is like a complete Mesiras Nefesh. So that, we've already explained that if in order to draw down from Sovev, the encompassing concept of godliness beyond creation, specifically through self-sacrifice, but we can also draw it down through nullifying the will. And this is the concept that Avraham came and called him the master. And that's through him making through nullifying his will in all details and going away from bad and doing good, negativo, against his nature, in order to subjugate and push away the other side. And that's the concept that he called him master. That is, he fulfilled on himself to be a concept of a servant. And therefore our sages said that that even Daniel was saved in the merit of Avraham. And that's why Daniel said in his prayer, listen to the prayer of your servant in order for the sake of Adnai, meaning to say that in the merit of Avraham. Avdecha Dafka, that it's specifically as Tfilas Avdecha in the concept of a servant, which goes together with the concept of Adonai, of Adon. That this awakens this concept of the strength of Adonai, of Soviv, of Malchus of Ein Sof, through the Bitul Haratzon. V'ayin me'inyan el tfilas avdecha b'shir hashirim rabba yud tespez b'pasuk kimat she'avarti mehem. Look what it says in Medrash Rabba shir hashirim on the verse, I almost passed by them. And there it mentions this concept of the prayer of your servant. Me'inyan leman Adonai, and this concept of what Daniel said, for the sake of Adonai, B'tosefta shebe Parshas Vayetze daf kuf nun beis sof amud beis in the Zohar Kadosh. Parshas Shmos Yud Yimel Aleph ha'ikar Parshas Vayikra daf kuf Aleph amud beis begint lo yishtekach matronise the Yosvel bar mehechle. That it says there, what does it mean? L'man Adonai, in order so that the matron, the queen, should not sit outside of her palace. Because the concept of Shem Adonai is the concept of Malchus, like we said, which is, in general, the feminine concept. So if, and for the sake of Adonai means for the sake of, so to speak, the queen. That's how the Zohar touches it out there in Vayikra. V'shem Havaya b'nikud Elokim Zeu b'chinas soviv kol alamin. And the name of Hashem, as you pronounce it, Elokim, that's the concept of godliness that encompasses creation. Shnikra Havaya v'nikra Malka. That in our context, that's like we said, Malchus of Ein Sof, and we still call it Havaya, but it's also called the king. The concept of Malchus. Yeah, I guess we pronounce it Adonai, but it's also a Havaya, just like it's also a concept of Elokim, even though it's Havaya. V'anikod Elokim mur al atzmus or Ein Sof shegam b'chinas Shem Havaya ki Elokim chashuv l'gabi giloi zeh. So why is Hashem Havaya pronounced Elokim on this level? Because it hints to the Atzmus, that of the light of Ein Sof, that the name of Havaya is like Elokim in comparison. So we call it Havaya Elokim when we're referring to a revelation of the Ein Sof beyond Shem Havaya. Like it's explained on the Mimer on, so too Adonai Havaya should sprout forth charity and praise. There it says Adonai Havaya, Shemishne Shemus Elu, Nimshach Shorish Koach Hagiloi Shebartos Achayim Bezaratzos. That from these two names is drawn the root of the strength of revelation in the lands of the living, meaning to say the two lands. I guess above and below. Therefore, when he promises to give him the land, that's why it says, Avraham mentions these two names. Just like it says, Adonai Havaya Etzmich Tztako Sehila. So too, Avraham mentions Adonai and Havaya because that refers to the land of Israel below and the land of life above, the spiritual land. Look what it says in Mishnah and Kedushin about inheriting the land. Look what it says later on in the Zohar, on the verse, in the end they will inherit the land. Find besifren its nusa truma kufain zayin aleph inyan Adonai Havaya atachilosa. What it says in Zohar Truma about also by Vayeschanan, Moshe Rabbeinu uses Adnai Havaya, you have begun to show, and this was also Moshe asking to go into the land. Rabos Pasha Mem Daled Mem Ches Daled B'ma Eda Lo Kekore Tagar Ela Be'ezes Chus. Medrash Rabbah, it says on this, how will I know that I will inherit it? Not that he's complaining, how do I know will I inherit such a thing? But rather, in what merit will I inherit? He was trusting Hashem that he was going to, but he wanted to know in what merit. Sof Parshas Shmos Perish Ben Yeracher V'im B'Shvil She'amar Avraham Avinu B'ma Eda. And in Medrash Rabbah Shmos, it explains it in a different way. There, it does seem to imply that it was, so to speak, a negative thing. But Avraham says, "How will I know?" V'chein Isa beParshas Shmini, Parshas Aleph Kufayin Zayin Aleph. He must in his butter al Asakav b'Shash Amar B'Mayida Irshena. How? When was it clarified to Avraham on the things that he did? At the time when he said, "How will I know?" Ki Irshena, that I will inherit it. Maksiv Taman. What does it say there? Yudoa Teda Ki Geri Yazaracha. It says you should know that your children will be strangers in a strange land. I guess seeming to imply that it's because you said, "How will I know?" So too in Shir Hashirim in Medrash Rabbah it says, you should draw me after you. Avraham Yeshli Olav, that Avraham, I have complaints upon him, Sha'amar, that he said, B'ma Eda, how will I know? V'chein Isa, so too it says, B'koheles Rabbah, B'pasuk V'tov Mishneim Es Asher Eden Lo Haya, on the verse that better than both of them is the one who didn't exist yet, who hasn't come down to this world and seen all the difficulties here. Daf Tzadik Dalar Mud Beis, Avos Ha'olam Chu, the fathers of the world, Im Basi Ladaktik Acharehem, if I want to come and scrutinize them, Ani Yeshli Aleim, I can complain about them. Avraham Yeshli Olav, I have complaints, I can complain about Avraham. Sh'amar B'ma Edaki Rashana, that he said, how will I know that I will inherit? But only that it ends there. Kivin Sh'amar Hashem Nishbat Alehem Bach, since it says that I swore to them in you, B'sh'osa Shah, meaning to say that Moshe reminds Hashem that you swore within on yourself to the fathers. But Shah, at that time, the Holy One, blessed be He, was filled with mercies. You can understand this and what it's explained on, that you swore to our forefathers, from the days of old. So this concept of the oath that Hashem took, so to speak. The days of old in general is the concept of the midos within Keser. Higher than the avos, which are the Yemei Olam, the midos within Atzilus. But Nedarim Daf Lamed Beis Suf Amar Aleph Yisagam Kain. And so too in Gemara and Nedarim it says this. Ha'inyan, and the concept is Yesh Lomar Al Pi Mashkasu B'Dibra Maskal Katonti B'Garas HaKodesh Min Beis Minyan Yaakov Shinis Yare Shema Yigra Ma'acher Chulu, that Yaakov is afraid maybe sin will cause so that he won't have the merit. And How much more so, I guess Avraham was afraid here that Avraham thought that maybe his children, with their bad choices, would sin and won't merit to have the land. And what about the fact that Hashem promised it to him? So it's explained in another place, the fact that we daven every day to heal us and to bless us with sustenance, even though this was already drawn down on Rosh Hashanah. The life force for the whole year. But if you want to bring it down from the world of Atzilus all the way down to Asiyah, it has to pass through a number of different spiritual palaces. And it's at certain times, because of some sin, the divine flow stays above and doesn't come down. Therefore, we daven every day, we ask every day that it should actually come down. We can say that this was Avraham's intention also, when he said, "How will I know that this will come down?" And physically, that even if it was given to me, how will I know it won't stay in the spiritual realm? That they should be given the land in order to fulfill all the physical mitzvahs. Maybe they won't merit the revelation of the Torah mitzvahs below. But it'll only stay in the spiritual realms. Just like Avraham fulfilled the Torah before it was given. That is to say that he fulfilled it in a spiritual way. But he was saying that I want my children to do the physical mitzvahs. There it talks about the Jewish people receiving the Torah on Purim in comparison to Matan Torah. That there was through Mesiras Nefesh there. And to this level, not all of his children would merit, only certain ones. If it was just dependent upon merit, and the ones who sinned wouldn't get it. Therefore, he requested a covenant and action in order so that this promise from Hashem would certainly come into the physical. And it's explained in another place, the concept that Torah was given with 5 voices. Shakol hu hamshacha, that the voice is to draw down. V'yesh chamisha hamshachos ad shenimshach haTorah b'asiyah gashmius. And there's 5 different voices, 5 different hamshachos, drawings down, until the Torah is drawn down into the physical. V'hamshacha hachrona hu medibur l'maiseh. And the last hamshacha is from the speech to the action. Tigam medibur l'maiseh tzarich lios kol v'hamshacha. Because also from the speech to the action, even if you've gone through 5 levels of kol, of voice, you still have to get to the maiseh. So the last hamshacha is from dibur to maiseh, from the speech to the action. Tzarich lios kol v'hamshacha k'moshe matzinu b'gemara. Like we say, we can't learn halacha not from the study until they say that this halacha is l'maisa. Meaning to say you're drawing it down from the speech, from the discussion of halacha to the action. That there's a final drawing down from halacha to maisa. Uperish Rashbam, the Shema im Yavol Idemaisi Yidaktek Yosef Yira Tam Acher B'Davar. And the Rashbam explains that maybe when it actually comes to doing it, you're gonna try harder and be more, and you scrutinize further and you'll see a different reasoning for it. That is to say that there's a pause in between the speech and the action. And you have to draw it down on its own to go from there to there, from the speech to the action. Therefore, even though the Holy One, blessed be He, promised him in speech to give him the land, you could say that that's all spiritual. That's fulfilling the mitzvos, that through them you'll draw down this spiritual reward of the world to come. And he was doubtful, maybe when it's needed to come down from the speech to the action, it won't come down. Because they won't merit this. Even though certainly the Hashem's speech will be fulfilled, it would only be spiritual, in the spiritual. And the main thing is to actually have it in action. That in this way everybody can merit this. And further, that through action we can, when it comes down to action, we can bring down from an even higher place, because the rule is that action, it draws down from the highest. Action is above. The concept of bringing physical korbanos and why that reaches so high. I guess there's a statement, the korbana ole al ad razdein sof. Which talks about the mila of the mitzvos. Yevil levush malchus, or the preparation for the mitzvos, even bringing the garment of the mitzvos. Alkein bikesh Avraham, where he talks about asher yaviu, asher nitan keser malchus, that you draw down from the keser malchus. Alkein bikesh Avraham krisas bris b'maisei al zeh. Therefore, Avraham requested a covenant, an action upon this, that through this, that there was already the promise in action in the world, that Hashem made an action, so to speak, an act of Kristus Bris in this world, as I shu be'echrech she tinasin haTorah basi amamush. So it'll have to be that the Torah will be given in the actual physical world. This is what it says in Parshas Ekev. That Hashem will keep for you the covenant that He swore. There it says habris ve'achesed. Why does the covenant come first? Before the kindness. Because the action is even stronger than the kindness. The kindness could just remain spiritual, but the covenant is in the physical world, and therefore it has to be physical. If so, what's Avraham's sin? Why do we have places in the Midrash that imply that Hashem has a complaint on this? But the concept is ki is chesed ve'is chesed, that there's two kinds of kindness. Chesed al-bar v'chesed al-gav. There's the kindness of the outside and the kindness of the inside. Mashkased le'il shehashpa tuchelis akiv lamayla v'lotated lamata klal. This that we said, it's possible that the flow could be held above and not descend below at all. That's when the flow, the root of the flow comes from the kindness of Ziranpin. When it comes from the regular midos. That within the regular midos, there's a process, and there's not just kindness, but also the opposite, the attribute of judgment that could hold it back. But if we're bringing down from a higher kindness, the inside kindness, that we said that there's no left side opposing, in Atik, lo tisakev v'shum tzad, could never be stopped, this kindness. Like it's brought about the concept of the almonds that grew on Aaron's staff, that they grow quickly, meaning the implication is the bracha of Birchas Kohanim comes down without anything that can stop it. There's no kitrug or midas adin that can stop the blessing of the Kohanim. V'zeu lo ish kel v'yichazev uben adam v'yisnecham. That's the pasuk. That's the meaning of the pasuk, that Hashem is not a man that could lie or speak falsehood, or a person that to change his mind. Hahu amar v'lo yaseh v'diber v'lo yikimena. Like Bilam said, if he says something, won't he do it? And he speaks and not fulfill it? Certainly he will. B'Parshas Balak Chav Gimel Yutes. B'Pirish Yerushalmi, and explains in Yerushalmi Perek Beis the Tani Sof Alach Aleph V'Chein B'Rabo Seidu Vayera Parsha and Gimel Daf Nutes Beis B'Shashar Kodesh Baruch Hu, that says that at the time that the Holy One, blessed be He, Gozer Lahavi Tova La'olam, and that He decrees to bring good to the world. Lo ish kel v'chazev. He's not a man that'll speak falsehood. That this decree to bring good certainly will happen. Ubishashu gozer lahavi ra hahu amar v'lo yasechulu. And the time that he says to do bad, will he say something and not do it? Now I wonder if the difference in lashon is that it's possible that hu amar v'lo yaseh, that it also could be read when he brings down the bad, that he said something and he doesn't do it, because through tshuva and good deeds, the bad could be nullified. Whereas we know that for the good, he doesn't. Lo ish kel v'yichazev. He won't ever go back on the good that he promises. And similarly, this is brought in Medrash Rabbah Balak Tafrei Shayin Tes Bezer B'Parshas Masay Reish Pei Daled Gimel. Bir ha'inyan, but the concept is Nira al pi masha kasav b'Zohar Chilek Gimel Naso Kuf Lamed Vav Beis al Pasuk Gam Netzach Yisrael Lo Yishaker V'Lo Yinachem Ki Lo Adam Hu Li Yinachem B'Shmuel Aleph Siman Tes Vav Chav Tes. What Shmuel told to Shaul, that the victory of Israel, Hashem, who is Netzach, will not lie, and he will not go back on his word, because he's not a man to go back. So even though it was a negative thing, that Shaul will lose the kingship and so forth, you can't just ask him to change his mind. He's not a man to change his mind in that way. B'zel shono kol hahu netzach dispashet begufa. And this is what it says in Zohar Chilek Gimel Naso Uf Lamed Vav Beis. It says, all of this netzach, this victory, this spashet begufa, zimnin detali al alma lemedan, v'sav mischaret. There's times when this spreads out, this netzach in the body, meaning to say, I guess netzach corresponds with the right thigh. But it's a concept of judgment. Sometimes it hangs over the world for judgment. V'sav u'mischaret v'lo avidina itayvin. And it returns and it regrets and doesn't do the judgment if they do tshuva. My taima, for what reason? Mishum de ka'asi b'duchta de iskri adam, because it went down to the level that's called man. That if this you have the concept of Adam HaElyon. And if the judgment is happening on the level of Adam, even if it's Adam HaElyon, therefore, an Adam has the concept of regret. But in this case, Shmuel told Shaul he's not a man to regret. This is not the case. This is not where this hamshach is coming from. This din. The Arizal explains Adam, who zir anpin, that the concept of Adam, that's za, shesham yesh chesed v'gvura v'atika kadisha nekra kilo Adamu. That where do you have kindness and strictness, and that's on zir anpin. That's where we can compare Hashem to an Adam. It's a partzuf of Adam. In comparison, v'atika kadisha nekra kilo Adamu. But the higher atika kadisha, there you can't call it an Adam. That's where we say he's not a man. Or Pashas Yisra Bebir al Pasuk Zachoras Yom HaShabbos Zachor v'Shamar B'Dibur Echad Chulu Ayin Sham. I guess the concept that a person can't say two things at once, like Zachor and Shamar, possibly. Ayin Od Me'in V'Gam Netzach Rabos Emor Pasha Lamed Daf Resham But Aleph Zor Chelik Aleph Breshis Kaf Bez Af Amud Bez. Beshalach Samach Aleph Tikkun Izor Hey Dalet Tikkun Yud Gimel Chav Dalet Suf Amud Beis Al Kol Panim. At any rate, Mevor Mizeh Shekesha Hamshach and Nimshach Mebechin Sovev Kol Almin in Shayach Bashinoim, that when you bring it from the concept of Sovev, of the encompassing light, the godliness as it encompasses creation, you can't have any changes. See, that's the concept of I am Hashem. I have not changed from that level. And this is the statement of Medrash, that in the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decrees there should be bad, will he say, and he won't do, like we're saying by Shaul, that he says that from this level the bad can't be changed. Because in general, bad comes from the attribute of judgment, that it's rooted only in Za, which is called man. That there it could change through tshuva, that you draw down from even higher. There it says that in Tehillim that Hashem is for me, and I will not fear what man does to me in the Hallel. Why? Because Adam is only from Zah, and there we can change it through Tshuva. That we can nullify the judgments from this level of Adam through the revelation of the infinite. May be blessed. Love me call inun midus iuklal, which is that he's beyond all these attributes that are completely the midus of Zah. Valzeh amru gamkin birushalmi sham. Uberabos parshas masei sham beperish lo ish kel v'chaze v'chin ben adam v'isnechan. So to in Medrash Masei it says something similar, that he is not a man. God is not a man to say falsehoods, or a son of man to change his mind. Lo ish ose lekel sheyichaziv, that a person can't make it so God should say a falsehood. Lo ish hu she'asa dvarav shel kel. It's not a man who made the words of Hashem. Ki ilu enan, as if they are not. Lama yechira apcha be'amecha. So no, it's asking a question. Lo ishu she'asa dvarav shel kel ki ilu enan. Wasn't it a man, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu, who made the words of the kel of Hashem as if they were not? When he said Lama yechira apcha be'amecha, when he said, why should you flare your anger at your nation? But didn't Hashem say such and such? And then Moshe Rabbeinu saying, but why should you do that? Implying that Hashem was could change it, and indeed it was so. Ben Adam v'yisnecham, or the son of man to change his mind. Lo ben Amram hu. So he's saying like this: Lo ish kel v'yachaziv. Ben Adam v'yisnecham. It's the son of man to make him change. He's not a man that to so to speak say a falsehood to change that Hashem is going to change what He said. That's a person who, meaning Moshe, who is able to do this. Ben Adam v'Yisnacham lo ben Amram hu she'asa lakel she'Yisnachim. Wasn't it the son of Amram who made to God that he should change his mind? Shenema v'Yinachim havayal hara asher diber la'asos lamo. That's what it says. That Hashem changed his mind, so to speak, on the bad that he said to do to his nation. That is, that the bad was decreed on the level of Zah. Moshe drew down from even higher from the 13 attributes of mercy, from Atika Kadisha to Zah. And when the supernal mercies were revealed in the attributes of Zeranpin Nimtakadin, the judgment was sweetened, and Hashem regretted the bad. However, the good that's drawn from Atik, it'll never be changed. Because on that level we say, I am Hashem, I have not changed, and there's no opposing, no less smaller by Atika. And this, that it says that at times the kindness can remain above. That also is only referring to when the kindness is coming from Zah. Just like the kindness can have an opposition, so too the kindness can simply not come down. And that's the outside kindness. That's the outward flow, so to speak, the life of the body. In comparison, if you say that the body, so to speak, the outside, and the soul is, so to speak, the inside. And also this is not a complete change, it's only that it stays above. And you do receive it in a spiritual way, which is not the case when bad comes down and is nullified. Instead, the bad actually doesn't just remain spiritual, but gets nullified completely. However, the higher kindness, the inner kindness, doesn't change at all, and so to speak, will not get stuck below, like we said like he mentioned, by the Birchas Kohanim and the almonds of Aaron. Now, this promise of giving the land to Avraham, which level was it from? Shuhu HaTorah mitzvos, which we said was the Torah of the mitzvos, V'ha'olam haba, and the world to come. Zeu tachlis ha'hamshacha mechesed dilgav. This is the complete flow from the inner kindness, chaya hanashamos, of the life of the souls, not the chaya guf. And on this level, you can't have changes at all. Al kain lo haya lo la Avraham lo mar b'ma'ida. If so, Avraham should not have said, "How will I know that I will inherit it?" Because it was not coming from a place where it could change or not come down to the physical. Because this is coming from the place where Shmuel said that he's not a man to change his mind. This you can understand the statement in the Gemara Yuma, that the Urim and Tumim, the Urim means that they shine the words, and the Tumim is that they complete their words. What does it mean that they complete their words? That is to say, once the Urim and Tumim says something, it never goes back. Never goes back on it. Because it comes from on this level, from I am Hashem, I have not changed. It's interesting because of the statement of by David and Doeg, that it says that it's just like asking him was like asking the Urim and Tumim, meaning to say that whatever he said, that's what's going to happen no matter what. And we have a deeper explanation for it here now, because it's coming from a place where you can never change, even even if people sinned, and so forth. Or V'zeh Amar Rashi b'chumash Rish Pashas ve'era al pasuk Shmi Havaya lo nodati. And this is what Rashi says on Va'era, that I showed myself to Avraham and didn't know Shmi Havaya lo nodati, but they didn't know my name Havaya. Lo nikarti lehem b'midas hamitus sheli. They didn't recognize my true attribute, Shari Iftakti v'lo kiyamti, because I promised and I didn't fulfill. Nishma shezel lo yihi ashum shinoi nimshach m'shem Havaya. This implies that it hadn't yet come down yet from this level. That it was only drawn down in their days from the lower level, where there could be a shinoi, there could be a promise and going back on it. But the promises that Hashem made and that He revealed to Moshe, that's from Shem Havaya. That's not Kel Shindal Yud like the Avos, and therefore it's on that level it's revealed how there's not going to be change. So that's why it uses Hashem's name when it says, I am Havaya and I have not changed. And the reason is, like we explained, these two levels, whether it's coming from Zah, whether it's coming from Atika Kadisha. That's why it says, send your light and your truth. I guess Orcha v'amitecha is similar to Urim v'Tumim. V'shitzarach lius Orcha v'gam amitecha midas amitus shelo yizbarich, that there has to be both the light and your truth, meaning to say the attribute of truth means to say that it's going to happen no matter what. There won't be a change. Kemuvan medivrei Rashi anal, like is understood from the words of Rashi that we mentioned.